When did you start teaching English?
I'm trying to think of the date. Would it be 48? We went into the liberated areas, but David as a journalist and myself as an anthropologist. And when we got there, the war was going very well for the communists. So they were very anxious to have diplomats that knew English. I mean, people they could turn into diplomats. So they collected those members who knew some English already. And so we had them in different classes. Some only had a little bit of English. So we were asked to, set up this school. That thrilled us. I mean, because we were doing something for the liberated areas. We weren't just a journalist. David wasn't just a journalist, and I wasn't just an anthropologist. We were part of the community, which was very good. We were into the politics, because David and I were party members. And we said, you can't set up a party group if you don't have at least 3 members, and there were only 2 of us. So David said to the comrades there, only 2 of us, can you lend us a Chinese communist who could join our group, so that 3 of us could then set up a party group. So they gave us 2 people, Li Dihua and Li Huanshan. And there's a picture of us all walking along together, without David, because he's taking the picture. Well, we were working under Ye Jianying. He needed somebody who could handle, that knew English and could handle foreign affairs. And George Hayton was doing that for him. But he needed not just one person, he needed to set up a foreign affairs section to his government. So we set up the Foreign Affairs School.
In the rural areas, you weren't yet in Beijing?
No, we were in the liberated areas. Beijing was under the Kuomintang.
And so what were your first classes like for teaching? You were teaching English. What were they like, and were there many students?
Well, there weren't many students at that time. We traveled around a lot.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any school. But the students each had a stool, a folding stool that they could carry with them, about this high, and they had a wooden, so it's like a tray, but it's their desk actually. So they put that on their knees, or if they wanted it a bit higher, they could put something on their knees and put that on top. And that was, and so the classroom just was any place we were where they just set up their stools and we had a class. Yeah.
So they were learning another language?
They were learning English.
Were they literate in Chinese?
Oh yes,
okay, so these were educated
Yes, they're college graduates, or at least college students, because this is one of the interesting things. When the communists, when they were able to go and join the communists, some of them were had just graduated. Some were still students, and some of them thought, well, I won't go and join the communists till I've graduated. And others thought, oh, I'm going to join immediately, although I haven't graduated. So later on, we had these 2 sets of activists, one that was a graduate and one that wasn't. So the ones that weren't graduates, I think they were sorry they hadn't stayed and graduated first.
And what sort of materials did you teach them? I mean, did you have books, or did you just write your own materials to teach?
Well, we were very short of material. So we just sent out a message that anybody that comes upon any English material should send it to us. So we got all sorts of things, not textbooks, but, there was an article on trade unions, a progressive article, a folder booklet, with about 4 pages. And so I was delighted, so that was one of the textbooks.
So you would just go through and go through the vocabulary,
yes,
the grammar,
Yeah, well, and speaking, to
Yeah.
be able to speak it, yeah. The important thing was to be able to read and speak.
Yeah.
Because you could have material, but it's much harder to, it's easier for them to learn to read than to learn to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listening would just be from you. Would you conduct the lessons in Chinese or in English?
In English.
Could they understand you?
Oh yes, because they were recruited because they had some English.
They had some basic English.
Yes, it wasn't very advanced, but it was enough to build on. So
Yeah.
the teachers didn't need to, I mean, there were a couple of us, and we didn't need to be able to teach Chinese or use Chinese, we just used English. The liberated areas was, the Kuomintang was trying to capture the liberated areas.
Ah.
So Fu Zhouyi was head of the Kuomintang army that was trying to take the liberated area. They captured two Kuomintang officers who had left the Kuomintang and came volunteered to work in the liberated areas. So that when they captured them,
The communists captured the Kuomintang officers.
these officers had come over and joined, and they were loyal to the communists. But then the Fu Zhouyi, the Kuomintang general, decided he would military attack and capture the communist area. So he sent airplanes over to bomb, and we had to dig trenches, and when we were warned that the planes were coming, we'd all get in these trenches. So nobody was injured.
Well,
Furthermore, the daughter of the Kuomintang general was a communist,
yeah.
and so she always notified us when he was planning an attack.
And that's when you went and hid.
Yes, here we are. They said there's going to be an attack, so in here. And this is Ye Jianying here. That's the communist general.
Bill Hinton,
Yes,
David, you.
myself. And this is Li Dihua. Now, he was a Anglican bishop.
Yeah.
So anyway, here he is as a communist, underground communist.
You were telling me the other day,
Yeah.
he's an Anglican bishop who used.
Yes, he wore this long gown and carried around the communist. Well, then the communists were warned by somebody that they had discovered that he was a communist.
Oh.
And so he was in danger. They warned him. So he was immediately sent to the liberated areas. So they put us to live in his compound. So we ate with him, and we were a little group.
You don't look scared. I mean, if you're afraid that the Kuomintang are coming to get you all, or raid your village, you all look very happy there. You don't look scared.
But they're not going to succeed. We're just getting out of the way so that when they try to seize the place, they don't get anything at all. Shocking. This is a young PLA,
Yeah.
a soldier who was assigned to look after us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're on the road, marching from one liberated area to another?
And because the planes are, at this period, we were warned that Fu Zhouyi was going to bomb us. We had to travel at night and just rest in the daytime under the trees or where we would not be seen.
Very frightening.
I don't think people were frightened. I think they were cautious.
Right.
They're always thinking, knowing that there was danger, and I don't think we were feeling frightened.
How long did you stay in the liberated areas for, teaching English?
Well, right until the communists won and the Chiang Kai-shek was defeated, so then the whole big area was the liberated areas. It was the government. Well, when Beijing was liberated, Beijing was occupied by the, first it was occupied by the Japanese, and then it was liberated and occupied by the Kuomintang. And then with the Liberation War, the communists defeated the Kuomintang, and it was liberated by the communists, so they set up their government here.